सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। तस्माद्युध्यस्व भारत। Therefore, हे Bharata, हे Arjuna, may you take up to this battle. As we discussed in the earlier class, Lord Krishna found it necessary so to say this to Arjuna. May you therefore, hey Arjuna, take up to this battle. Therefore, Tasma, there is a reason for that. The reason why Arjuna should take up this battle, fight the battle. Also, a reason why Lord Krishna is saying this to Arjuna. We discussed how Arjuna on his own initiative was ready to fight the battle. For his own reasons. Maybe he wanted to settle the score with Duryodhana and others. There was a sense of injustice and hurt on account of being cheated during the game of dice. And therefore they have to suffer for 13 years, including 1 year of incognito. A lot of anger and hurt and resentment may have been stored in Arjuna. And perhaps that is what was the motivating force for fighting this battle. But if Arjuna had continued to fight the battle, there would have been no opportunity for Lord Krishna to impart this teaching. Arjuna has fought many battles in the past. There was no conflict in his mind about fighting the battle. So that Arjuna fought the battles, and that he wanted to fight this battle are also symptoms of some disease within the human mind. But these are symptoms commonly displayed by all the human beings. As long as these symptoms are confined to ambition, to desire, so long the human being does not see the need of seeking help. He thinks that he knows how to fulfill his desires, how to fulfill his ambitions, and therefore he does not see the need of seeking help. That even the desire also is a symptom of some more deeply rooted problem that is not very clear, because everybody has desires. It's only when this desire was transformed into grief, into vishada. Evam uktva Arjuna sankhye rathopastha upavishat visrujya sasharam chapam shoka samvigna manasah. Evam uktva, saying this to Lord Krishna, aho bata mahat papam kartum vyavasitavayam. How sad it is that we have resolved to fight with our own cousins and near and dear ones for the sake of the greed of kingdom and pleasures. Arjuna became very sad at this idea of what he was. This time realized that it's greed for kingdom. The greed for pleasure was something wrong, something not right, something that did not behoove of him, something that was not proper for him. Yadi mama pratikaram ashastram shastrapanayah. O Lord, I am not going to fight the battle. Ashastram, I will not wield the weapon, I will not even defend myself. Shastrapanayah ranehanyuhu. These enemies, equipped with all the weapons, they kill me in this battlefield, tanme kshemataram bhaved. I think that would be even better. Than what I'm experiencing about myself right now. This greed and subsequent anger, resentment. As you can see that this was not right. He always had those things, but somehow did not see that there was anything wrong with that. It's only when this greed, the kama, krodha, lobha. Greed means lobha. When kama or desire is fulfilled, then it is like pouring butter into fire. Desire becomes stronger and stronger. The mind wants more and more, and that is called greed, which cannot be satiated. Regardless of what the mind gets, that greed cannot be satiated. Simple kama desire can be satisfied momentarily. When krodha, anger also can be satisfied momentarily by expressing it. But greed can never be satiated. And that is what the consequences of that. Arjuna recognized what he was. And his own perception of himself, his own assessment of himself, is that how I am? Made him sad. The cause of grief or sadness of Arjuna, or for that matter, the cause for grief of any human being, was not outside of himself or herself. In the words of Pujya Swami, it's not even inside oneself. It is one's own self, which is always there. But since the mind is very busy, fulfilling desires, fulfilling ambitions, gaining disappointments, further desires, and desire needs a lot of work. How to fulfill the desire? What's the means of fulfilling that desire? All the preparations required to implement that means keep the person busy. And does not give an opportunity to the person to look beyond this. That there is some more fundamental cause within myself. Like a disease of which different kinds of symptoms appear one by one. We keep on treating those symptoms. A given symptom is cured and some other symptom appears. That is how the grief is, that's how the sadness is, that's how Vishada is. Therefore, in the introduction itself, Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya, Bhagavan Bhashyakara, identifies Shoka and Moha as the fundamental human problems. That Bhagavad Gita is meant to make the human being free. It's a very practical approach. That Bhagavad Gita is not meant to lead me from this world to some other world, which it can. To give me something that I do not have and thus make me wealthier, more richer, more accomplished. Maybe a lot of spiritual siddhis or powers I can gain. All different solutions are there, or different solutions are thought to be there. But Bhagavan Bhashyakara says, Bhagavad Gita being the essence of the Upanishads, teaches what the Upanishads teach. Upanishads are also very practical. The fundamental teaching of the Upanishad is Tattvamasi, that thou art. You already are what you are seeking to be. You are Brahman. You are limitless. You are ever free. The limitlessness, the freedom, the liberation is not something to be acquired. Karma or action cannot be the means of moksha. Karma or action is a means of many things. Karma or action is a means of achieving something that is not achieved. But Upanishads reveal, for Shvetaketu, for sage Narada, for Indra, that what you are seeking to be is not other than yourself. And therefore, right in the beginning, Bhashyakara says, the problem of human life is not achievement of what is unachieved. It is the non-recognition of what is already achieved. It is not becoming something that I am not. It's recognizing who I already am. And therefore, this understanding, this knowledge is a solution for human being. Not karma, which is a means of achieving what is unachieved. But Swamiji, the whole Karma Kanda section of the Veda prescribes a number of rituals, a number of means of achieving fulfilling desires and ambitions of human beings. You want wealth, progeny, name, fame, recognition, even heaven. The pleasures in this world and the pleasures in the other world. Lots of rituals are there to accomplish this, which are fine for what they are, and they serve their purpose. So, the etat satyam, whatever is said in the Vedas, with reference to the karma of the rituals, and karma phala, the outcome of the rituals, is right, is true. And therefore the Guru says to the disciples, Satyakamaha, O disciples, who are desirous of achieving satya or karma phala, should perform these rituals. So there is a time in the life of a human being, in the process of maturing, when even the karma performed for fulfilling desires also has a role to play. Because an outcome cannot be achieved unless the karma or the ritual is performed in a stipulated manner. And those stipulations also require a lot of personal discipline, at least for a period of time. Living the life of life of austerity, of discipline. So that part called dharma is purifying. So that also will help. But ultimately, human being has to recognize there's something fundamentally wrong in what's happening in my life. Karpanya doshopahata svabhavaha. Pruchhami tvam dharma sammudha chetaha karpanya dosha upahata svabhavaha. I'm the one svabhava whose mind has been overpowered by karpanya, by miserliness. A miser is a person who does not recognize how wealthy he is. He thinks that he doesn't have anything. He wants more and more and more. Arjuna recognized in this moment of his crisis, there is something not recognized in my life. I always acted as a krupana, as a miserly person. A miser is a person who cannot part with what he has, who wants more and more, and cannot part with what he already has because of lack of recognition of what he has. O Lord, therefore, my life has been spent not recognizing what I already had, not recognizing who I am. Always entertain various notions and false notions about myself. But I've not recognized what my true nature is. Arjuna recognized that ignorance was his fundamental problem. Pujya Swami used to say, human being has twofold problem. A fundamental problem and a topical problem. Fundamental problem that is applicable to all human beings at all the times, which is the ignorance of the self, giving rise to misconceptions of false perception of one's own self. Not recognizing that Soham, I am that, the limitless, and taking oneself to be a limited, helpless, hapless creature, always in need, always seeking favor. That fundamental problem, for which all the human beings suffer. As a human being suffer, it is not that other beings do not have this problem. They do not have the kind of self-consciousness needed to recognize this problem. Human being is the most evolved creature. And evolution is the form of self-consciousness. How conscious I am of myself. And that self-consciousness is evolved to a point where I recognize that I'm a limited being, I'm a helpless individual, always seeking favor, always want to be recognized, want recognition, want approval, want to feel good about myself. I don't feel good about myself. This kind of self-consciousness a human being has. And therefore, there is a possibility. Not that every human being is conscious of this, But there is potential that a human being can become conscious of this. If for whatever reasons his mind becomes free from the concerns of the world, then there is an opportunity to focus attention on oneself. In case of Arjuna, this situation created an opportunity. He came to the battlefield with a desire for victory, desire for kingdom, desire for pleasures and power which are associated with kingdom. As long as that occupies the mind of the human being, there is no leisure or opportunity to look at what causes this, or is there something more fundamental than that? Arjuna has spent his life as a man of great accomplishments. He has gained the skills for many kinds of weapons. He has fought and won many battles. His mind was preoccupied with that. Was planning more and more. So this was one of those battles which he would win and gain that kingdom and power and pleasures associated with them. For specific reasons in this situation, when Arjuna recognized the price he has to pay is much more than the outcome or the gain which he will have. Usually the human mind is preoccupied with what I will gain. And therefore, not quite taking into account all the price I have to pay in order to achieve that gain. So one gain after the other. Today Arjuna recognized the price is to pay for this gain of victory and kingdom. And that is the sacrifice of all his kith and kin, all his near and dear ones. He recognized if this battle is fought, is battle between equals. Although outwardly Kauravas are more powerful, invincible warriors like Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Jayadratha and others. Arjuna knew that he also was very accomplished and powerful, and further, Lord Krishna was with him. So even if they win this battle, which he thought they would, it would be at the cost of all these people. Nobody would be saved. Swajanam vikatham hatva swakyasya madhava. Hey Madhava, how can we be happy killing our near and dear ones? Yajnapyetena pashyanti lobhopahata chetasa. Someone may say, hey, this Duryodhana deserves to be killed. He is an atatai, he is a felon and therefore deserves to be killed by Kshatriya. If he deserves to be killed, do we deserve to kill him? Papameva shedasman hatvaitan atatainah. If you kill these atatais, felons, Asman papam eva ashrayed. Sin, papa alone will befall upon us. As you recognize the heavy price, and he could see it was not worth it. Nacha shreyo nupashyami hatva svajanamahave. Ahave svajanam hatva. Killing my near and dear ones in this ahava, in this battlefield. Nacha shreyo nupashyami. I do not see what shreya, what good can result from this battle. Meaning that Arjuna lost all the interest in the outcome of the battle, the karma phala. For an ordinary person, it is karma phala, the outcome, the gain of the karma, which is the motivating force. That on account of fighting this battle, you will gain victory and power and recognition and fame and pleasures. That was the motivating factor. For other people, the factor may be different, but karma phala is what motivates a person to perform karma. And in this moment, Arjuna recognized that karma phala was no good. So what? Gurun hatvai mahanubhavan shreyo bhoktam vaikshamapi haloke hatvad kamams guru niheva punjiya bhogan rudra pradigdhan. This thought also crossed Arjuna's mind. Guruna hatvahi mahanubhavan. Mahanubhavan gurun ahatva. Rather than killing these gurus, such as Bhishma and Drona and Kripacharya, Mahanubhavan, the great souled people, Punjya Bhogan, if I kill them, I will gain the Bhoga, the pleasures, Rudra Pradigdhan, drenched in the blood, that pleasures I will get. Bhoktum Vaiksham api haloke. I think that I better live on the alms, means bhiksha or bhik or begging, rather than enjoying pleasures that are drenched in blood. So idea of becoming a bhikshu also crossed the mind of Arjuna. Bhikshu means a sannyasi. Sannyasi is an official beggar. Nobody wants to become a beggar. People become the beggar for various reasons. Out of helplessness. A beggar is a helpless person. But our scriptures do permit the beggary which is adopted willingly. The vow of poverty. A sannyasi takes the vow of poverty. Bhurlokaha maya tyaktaha, bhurlokaha tyaktaha, swarlokaha tyaktaha. I am renouncing everything that is there in this world. 3 words. 3 words means whatever I have in this world. And because the punya or the merit I have accumulated, whatever I can possibly gain, all of this is given up. I am renouncing. So he becomes beggar willingly. That's a glorified beggar. Swami Vivekananda used to say, begging is a sin. Unless you become a beggar willingly, that's a sannyasi. So that thought of a beggar, becoming a beggar, a bhikshu, being a sannyasi also crossed the mind of Arjuna. Renouncing his present stage of life, which is grihasthashrama, where he did not know what to do. As a Kshatriya, he knew that it was his duty to fight his battle. As a human being, he recognized a great loss, personal loss. Not just loss, personal loss. When loss and gain only connect with the person, the I, then only become important, otherwise not. Lots of people are losing a lot of things, nothing happens to us. When I lose something, that prospect of the huge personal loss made Arjuna also take into account the alternative of becoming a bhikshu or a sannyasi. Bhashyakara notes all this. Bhashyakara, Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya has not written a commentary or bhashya upon the verses of the first chapter and the first 10 verses of the second chapter also. He begins his commentary from the 11th verse of the second chapter, and people criticize him for that. How come he's not in bhashya for all those? Other teachers did, right? He has not written bhashya or explanation of all those individual verses. We summarize the lesson that we have to learn from these verses that have gone by. All these verses reveal not only Arjuna's topical problem. Arjuna had lots of topical problems. What to do in a given situation, how to solve his given difficulty. And Lord Krishna was always their counsel. But so far, the need of imparting the teaching of Bhagavad Gita did not arise. Because Bhagavad Gita is not meant for solving topical problems. Although it has the potential of helping us in solving or dealing with topical problems. That's why a lot of lessons are there, the management, wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita, etc., etc. So certainly a lot of wisdom is there, no doubt, which we can apply to our day-to-day life. But Bhashyakara does not look upon Bhagavad Gita as a means of that. There are many other things, like there are many smritis are there. Lots of other texts are there to help you deal with those problems. Puji Swami used to say, Bhagavad Gita is moksha shastra. Bhagavad Gita is shastra for helping human being to solve its fundamental problem. And that's how Bhagavan Shankaracharya analyzes and summarizes what is said in those verses. So how Shoka and Moha are the fundamental problems of human being. That Arjuna is grieving. That is very clear from the description of Sanjaya. Iva muktva Arjuna sankhe rathopastupa vishat visrujya sasharam chapam shoka samvigna manasaha. Having said this to Lord Krishna, Arjuna collapsed, not sat down, collapsed in the middle of the chariot, giving up his bow and arrow. Here, bow and arrow stand for means of karma for Arjuna. What Arjuna had to do to respond to the situation, to fight the battle, for which he needed bow and arrow. He discarded them. Meaning, gave up the karma, not out of viveka. There is a time that a human being of mature, emotional maturity recognizes that now karma has done whatever needed to be done in my life. And now I have to go to the next stage of life, which is a life of renunciation. But Arjuna has discarded the means of karma out of frustration rather than out of emotional maturity or viveka. As you say, Lord Krishna has no agenda for Arjuna. Arjuna should fight the battle, not fight the battle. That is not agenda of Lord Krishna. Arjuna is the agenda of Lord Krishna. He is a dear friend. Shoka moha mahodadho. Arjuna is sunk deeply in the ocean of grief and delusion. Bhashyakara says, Swaprayojanam apashyan. Lord Krishna has no prayojanam, no agenda of his own. Lokanugraha kurvan. Motivated simply out of anugraha. Compassion for all human beings, not only for Arjuna. As Lord Krishna was waiting for this opportunity, Arjuna nimitti krutya. Arjuna was made nimitta for imparting this teaching. Because Bhashyakara says that when this teaching is received by people who are strong and powerful, not the power of muscles, but the power of the self which Arjuna has. So this teaching could not be imparted to Duryodhana. He didn't have that power. He had the muscular power, all right, but not the power of the self, not the control of the self, not the victory over the self that Arjuna had. And when this teaching is imparted to this worthy people, then it will slowly spread into the rest of the society. So Arjuna has been chosen for imparting this knowledge. We cannot impart the knowledge unless the need is recognized by the recipient. Lord Krishna always recognized the need, of course. Arjuna did not recognize that need. If you feed a person who doesn't have an appetite, that food does not help in any way. But now Arjuna had the appetite. Karpanya dosho vahata svabhavaha pruchhami tvam dharma sammudha chetaha. I recognize that my svabhava, my nature, has been overpowered by the dosha, the defect of karpanya, or spiritual miserliness, of ignorance, which of course every human being has. But one does not recognize that fundamental problem. Dharma sammudha chetaha. As long as that fundamental problem of ignorance of self does not interfere with living my day-to-day life, so long I do not become aware of it. Or, even if I become aware of it, I do not see the need of solving it. But Arjuna became aware of that. Dharma sammudha chetaha. In this situation, he could not decide what to do. Whether we should fight this battle or not fight the battle. Na chaitat vidmah kataranno gariyaha. Kataranno, katarat of the two. Gariyaha, which is better. Whether we should fight the battle or not fight the battle. That is how this line, na chaitad vidmah kataranno gariyaha yadva jayema yadivano jayeyuhu. The second line of the verse says yadva jayema yadivano jayeyuhu is taken as a separate sentence. Whether we shall win, we do not know whether we shall win this battle or they will win. That's how Bhashyakar also interprets this. And says later that Arjuna had this doubt that we will win the battle or they will win the battle, and then Lord Krishna shows that you will win the battle, nothing to worry about. Kataranno gariya. Which of the two is better for us? To fight this battle and follow the Kshatriya dharma, or take to life of bhiksha, which all these choices had already crossed his mind. So this is how this part of the verse is interpreted. Katarat of the two. Gariya, which one is better? Should we fight this battle? Should I fight this battle? Or should I take to the life of bhikshu? Meaning, should I fight the battle or should I renounce the karma? Go to forest, live the life of a recluse and pursue my goal of moksha. Which is better, we do not know. Dharma sammudha chetaha. What is my dharma? What is my duty? My chetas, my mind is sammudha, is completely deluded. Not able to decide what I should do. And that's how Arjuna sees a need for receiving the knowledge. He recognizes a need. Yashreya syat nishchitam bruhi tanme. Tanme bruhi, please tell me. Yad nishchitam shreya syat. That will be shreya. That will be good. Certainly good. What is good now can turn into bad now. Nishchitam shreya. Good once and for all. Nishchitam bruhi, tell me with determination clearly. Shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapannam. I'm a disciple. Surrender to you. Please teach me. Having said this, Arjuna did say one more sentence. Nayotse iti uktva govindam tushrim bahuvaha. Govindam uktva, having said to Govinda, Lord Krishna, Nayotse, I will not fight. No, that's not right really. Having surrendered to Lord Krishna, the teacher, say, you please instruct me. And before receiving the instruction, saying, I will not fight is not the right thing. But he could not hold it within himself. He was so much grieving, so incapable of taking up his duty, so incapable of confronting this challenge, that he could see that dropping out, like taking a drop in an examination. He wanted to drop out, escape the problem. To escape the problem, he said, Nayotse, I will not fight. Know that was his determination. If this is what he had decided, I will not fight, there is nothing for Lord Krishna to say. But this was his escape. And so, not fighting was an escaping the situation. And for a Kshatriya, that's not right. Lord Krishna taunted him. Kutastva kashmanamidam vishame samupasthitam anaryajushtam asvargyam akirtikam Arjuna klebhyam mas mangvah partha naita tvaiva padhyate. Tvai, hey Parantapa, you are famous for being Parantapa, in whose presence the enemies are scorched by your being there. And for you to say, I will not fight the battle, I want to escape, I want to run away, does not behove of you. Lord Krishna taunted him. But even that did not work. And then, therefore, Lord Krishna commenced his teaching. First, Lord Krishna addresses the fundamental problem of ignorance, self-ignorance. And therefore, the first verses 11 to 30 in the second chapter, are meant to address Arjuna's fundamental problem, or the fundamental problem of every human being, ignorance, self-ignorance. So Lord Krishna teaches Atma, Anatma, Viveka. Viveka, separation, discrimination, Atma, Anatma between self and non-self. Where there is this illusion. Illusion is the word moha, aviveka, taking one thing to be the other. Like taking a rope to be a snake is called aviveka. It's called moha. So, moha can be translated as aviveka, delusion and illusion, etc. are translations, but they can cause confusion, where Swamiji did not like those translations. Confusion, whatever word you use, not going to quite describe. Aviveka. Aviveka is not abhava viveka. It is wrong viveka, wrong perception, not absence of perception. It's not a problem, but false perception of oneself. And the Lord Krishna imparted the teaching of the true nature of the self. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् अयं भूत्वा भवितावान् भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. Lord Krishna, there is something that is hanyamanam, that is something that is killed, something that dies. Na hanyate, something that is not killed. Addressing aviveka. Separating atma from anatma. Hanyate is anatma. That is killed. That is subject to death. When all this death is taking place at the level of body, etc., na hanyate, is a self that does not suffer from any injury, let alone death. Ajo nityah shashvatoyam puranaha. Birthless, deathless, free from growth, decay, free from all the changes, modifications, changeless. Doesn't change. Kartatva, bhoktatva also is a change. No kartatva, no bhoktatva in the Atma. No doership, no enjoyership, no experiencership. Bhauta na vijanidaha. Nayam hanti na hanyate. Yenam veti hantaram. Jascheno manyate hatam. Bhauta na vijanidaha. Nayam hanti na hanyate. Lord Krishna said, Yenam veti hantaram. When it takes Atma to be hanta, a killer, meaning a performer of action. Yes, chenam manyate hatam. And who thinks that he is hata, he is killed, meaning the object or victim of somebody else's action. Either I perform an action and victimize somebody, or I become victim of someone else's action. So one who takes himself as a victim or a villain. I look upon myself as villain when I wind up hurting somebody, or a victim when I feel someone else has hurt me. Atma is neither a villain nor a victim. A villain also is a miserable person. Victim also is a miserable person. All the misery in our life comes from these two notions. I'm a villain or I'm a victim. Everybody has both of them. Some people have more of villain, less of victim. Some people have more of victim, less of villain, but everybody has everything. Here, Atma is free from all of this. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The body is subject to being hurt, injured. Hanyate means doesn't get injured. Body gets injured, body gets killed. Atma does not. So in the first 20 verses, that is verses 11 to 30, Lord Krishna addressed the fundamental problem of every human being. That is a style. Style is to first address the fundamental problem. If that is not effective, then you come down to addressing the topical problem, which also is its root in fundamental problem. And for that, Lord Krishna says, TasmatYudhyasvaBharat. He Bharata Nayosi, you said I will not fight the battle. So Lord Krishna gives various reasons why it is proper for Arjuna to fight the battle. We'll continue. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashyakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.